It's going to be section 3, but part 2 of CHAMPS. Practice sharing your expectations. How will scholars know what is it that is expected of them to do and not to do? Our learning and targets include educators will be able to practice sharing CHAMPS expectations. We would start off with this is an example of CHAMPS. Previous section, we reviewed that CHAMPS stands for the C is conversation, H is for help, A is for the activity, M is for movement, P is for participation, and S is for success. With this acronym, we look at an example of what a teacher created as their visual cues. You'll notice that in this one, a teacher chose a visual image as well as words. This is age appropriate, whether you have a scholar who is in kindergarten or preschool, all the way up to an older scholar in secondary levels. So, for example, we know that for this segment of the lesson, whether it's for the do not activate or the warm up, the beginning activity, maybe it's the second phase of the lesson where we're doing more classwork. Maybe it's more in-depth part of the lesson, but no matter most lesson segments or in this particular block or class period, we have at least 3 different transitions. So this scholar would know that the voice level is at 0, which means there's no talking. If you need help, you're going to raise your hand and wait silently. The activity right now is they're supposed to be doing a silent writing activity. As far as movement, you may not get out of your seat. So this teacher needs to positively phrase that by saying remain in your seat. And then for participation, scholars know that they're to work all by themselves. So this is solo work. And so the success of that is this is a testing session. So not only is this a written prompt for them, but this is looked at as an assessment. So the teacher will be, and so there are regular protocols whenever scholars have a test. Typically, they know it's completed by themselves. The voice level is 0. There should be limited movement so other scholars can concentrate. And it's a writing silent assessment. Let's look at another chart. Now, it is quite possible for us to put all of our expectations for specific activities on one PowerPoint slide or to display this somewhere in our classrooms. For example, we have the CHAMPS acronym on the left, and then this teacher lets us know what the expectations are for scholars whenever there's a warm up or solo work or the do not activate. The scholars can go between silent voice or a level 1, meaning they can whisper. There should be no vocal cord vibrations. If they need help, they'll raise their hand, but they are allowed to ask their neighbor. That's a person closest to them, where closest to them enough to where they can whisper and that person can hear what they're saying. Finish to the best of their ability. There's limited movement, on task, working to the best of their ability, and task completion is considered success. So this is how the teacher has defined that success for the scholars. When it's teacher-led instruction, scholars know that their voice levels are on 0. They have to raise their hand, they take notes and discuss, they remain seated and raise their hand, and they focus and they're engaged. And the goal is that they understood what's being taught. Again, this is probably for more older scholars because this I would definitely go more in detail is that they understand. And so I would put in here how are you going to know as a teacher that they understand? Is it that they completed their check for understanding at a 70%? Does that mean they understood when they're able to demonstrate that? So success, you can put that success is it just task completion? Is it mastery? Is it a self-reflection that they understand it? And so all of these things definitely allow us the chance to be as specific as we want. But the great thing about this one is you see all the typical activities that this teacher does. It says all Spanish activity, a test or a quiz, group activity, teacher-led instruction, and then the warm-up and solo work. These are the expectations. So this teacher has everything, the vision written out, makes it plain. And so it's going to be easier for the teacher to say, okay, class, I'm going to lead out instruction. As I'm doing that, conversation level is 0. Raise your hand if you need help. While I am leading the instruction, your activity is to take notes and be prepared to discuss at any point in time. Then movement, you're to remain seated or raise your hand first to get permission before you get out of your seat. And regarding your participation, your focus should be on being focused and engaged in what you're learning so that success can look like you understanding what we're talking about today. This is what the teacher would verbally say to scholars, or the teacher can lead it out via question. Okay, scholars, I'm about to go ahead and lead us in our lesson today. And so I'll be demonstrating the lesson for you guys. What do you think your conversation level is while I'm talking and leading instruction? The scholars will be able to look at this chart and say, oh, we need to be at a level 0, meaning our voices are off, we're silent. Okay, if you need help, what do? They're going to say we have to raise our hand. He says, okay, well, what activity are we doing again? While I'm doing instruction, what are you doing? Oh, we're taking notes and prepared to discuss. Okay. What happens if you need to move or you need to throw a pencil away? We have to remain seated and raise our hand for permission first. Okay. What does participation look like? We need to be focused and engaged. All right. And success is going to equal what? Oh, that we understand the standard that we're supposed to be mastering today. So I love the question process as well, or you just flat out giving them all the verbal prompts. But it definitely helps when you ask questions and they have to give you a response. It helps to clarify that they know what's expected. Next, we have another CHAMPS board. This is how we communicate our expectations. So again, this teacher identified their warm-ups and their cool downs. This is their classroom language, warm-ups and cool downs. Love that phrase. They're using the CHAMPS levels, the level 1, level 0, level 2, 1, and a 0. And so they have these reoccurring assessments that they use and what the expectations are for group activities or partner work. That could be stations, it could be a gallery walk, it could be a team or partner assignment. For independent work, they know to work alone at their seats. This is for testing. For instructional teacher led things, it could be note taking, class discussions, or videos. It could be the bell ringer, a review, or exit ticket. So this teacher clustered things pretty well. I love that. And the more specific we can be, even better. So now it's time for you to think about how you're going to communicate your expectations to your scholars. And so if you're a person that use PowerPoint presentation slides or a slide deck, definitely it's easier to have the CHAMPS chart on your screen, have those images, right, that help scholars. But this is typically the script, like I just modeled. Greetings, class. Let's say if it was the start of the day, scholars are coming in the classroom, all right, verbally once everyone's in their seat, or if you're standing at the door waiting to greet the scholars, you would say, greetings, class, or greetings, Andrew, or greetings, whomever. Please complete the do not activator because maybe that's on the board while they're walking in. So you're verbally reminding them at the door, hey, you have 5 minutes to complete your do not activator. 5 minutes, go in there and complete your do not activator as you're standing at the door greeting everyone, right? When you come in and the bells, maybe if you have a bell at your school and it sounds, you says, okay, class, let's be reminded conversation level is at 0. Or you can ask them a question, what's the conversation level, class? And they'll say 0. Okay. If you need help, what are you supposed to do? Raise your hand and wait for the teacher. All right. Is there movement? No, there's 0 movement. Okay. What's your participation? It's individual work. What does success look like? Well, if we can complete the assignments in less than 5 minutes and score a 5 out of 4. So it tells the scholars you're looking for accuracy and that they complete the assignment within the 5-minute time allotted. So go ahead and take the time right now to script at least 3 of your classroom activities. So let's say you start with your warm up, and then maybe what is something, a CHAMPS script that you would have after your warm up when you start your direct instruction or your teacher instruction, the I do piece. What would be your script? What do you expect when you're teaching scholars to do? And then after that, let's talk about the cool down or maybe the independent structures once they get to work on their own. What are the expectations? So you want to write this script out because this will give you practice. If you can write it out, then you can say it. It becomes easier, and easier to do it. And it's absolutely easier when you can just ask the questions. Then it puts the ownership on the scholars. Go ahead and pause the video if you need more time to write your scripts. So here we have an example of a teacher who chooses to use CHAMPS in the classroom by putting it up via posters in the classroom. You notice that it spells out CHAMPS. It tells the scholars what each of the letters mean. In this particular teacher, you'll notice that instead of success for S, they use synchronize. And so this teacher chooses to let scholars know how much time they have. Right. So I do love that. Right. How much time do you have to complete this exercise? So this could be absolutely what you use for success. So maybe success equals completing it in 15 minutes and scoring this amount. And you even may put your PBIS uh, rewards on there, right? Maybe you're going to reward them a certain amount of dollars or whatever your reward policy for your school has. And you'll notice that the teacher uses hooks, those rings, and sheet protectors, or they laminated the following links. Or the teacher uses a dry erase marker so that they can write down the new expectations. And so that helps as well. Very good strategy that can be used here. So you can use the free resources that we provided to also place something similar to this in your classroom if you have that wall space. Otherwise, you can use uh, the digital example that was used in the previous slide. And so now we're going to break down conversation. These are just some examples, but in order to, it's one thing for us to say that the conversation level is zero, but we're also going to have to teach our scholars. Remember, all behavior is learned, and we need to teach our scholars everything we expect them to know. So, C stands for conversation. Then we have to make sure that we want to reset our class, especially after winter breaks and after long breaks. They need that reset where we all go back and we practice. Silence obviously is zero sound. No vibrations when they touch their neck. Have them talk with a neighbor, have them have a quick conversation. They will notice that they're making vibrations. And now you let them have another conversation and tell them that you can have a conversation with your partner, but with zero vibrations of their vocal cords. And that will teach scholars how to whisper. Again, the assumption is that all scholars know how to whisper, but do they? Did we teach them what whispering is? And so that's the way to teach them what a whisper is to ensure that you have zero vocal cord vibrations. Otherwise, if you have those vibrations, you're actually at a level 2, most likely, which means one other person in close proximity to you can actually hear what you're saying, and or a group of scholars that are sitting nearby can hear what you're saying. That means you're at a level 2. Then we have a level 3 is strong speaker voice. That's the voice we use when we want the entire class to hear us. That's what we use during presentations and where we have the floor as teachers or where scholars have the floor. It's really important for us to model appropriately what it means to be at a level 3. If as educators, if we're yelling and raising our voice, then we're really at a level 4 where we're at a voice that should only be used outside at field day. When we're out, it's our outside voice. So if as a teacher we're starting to use an outside voice inside, that means we're yelling. And if we're yelling, then that means something's happening that needs to change because we should only be at a level 3 inside the building at all times. So, going through these really quickly, a level 0 is zero sound. So, it's pretty self explanatory to scholars, but these are just some images to help scholars. A whisper is zero vibrations. And so, again, scholars will know that if they're above that level 1 based on putting their hand over their vocal cords. A level 2, that's that soft voice for a pair chat where only two people, are really having a conversation, or maybe a group conversation. So maybe 2 to 4 people should be able to hear what you're saying. And then we're at a level 3 for a classroom presentation where everyone in the classroom has access to hearing that information. And then lastly, at a level 4, that is strong voice. And so, but before we go there, let's go back to a level 3. Teachers typically use a level 3 for class for the I do when we have that whole group instruction part of our lessons. And strong voice is a teach like a champion strategy It's a strategy that's used to really make sure that we have our scholars' attention. It's a technique for adjusting your speech and your body language to ensure that students listen carefully to what you're saying. So if you have 2 or 3 scholars that are off task, or let's say they need to be redirected to be on task, you will want to implement the technique strong voice. Again, TLAC is an acronym for Teach Like a Champion. And so, one way that we do strong voice, it's not about being loud or projecting, more so that it is about adjusting your speech and your body language to ensure that all scholars are listening. What do you do when you have 2 or 3 scholars that are off task and you want to redirect them and get them back on task? So we have some strategies here on the strong voice. We want to establish our formal register. So ensure that our tone, expression, and body language conveys steadiness and composure to build a strong and positive classroom culture. So we really have to make sure our formal register is established with the scholars. If we are constantly at a high volume all of the time, then scholars become desensitized to that. So your formal register needs to be at a certain volume level and to really show scholars your composure. Self interrupt. And so if a scholar's off task and you say something, you want to interrupt what you just said. And that will give, it kind of redirects the scholar to say, uh-oh, the teacher said something and said it again or interrupted themselves. And it gets scholars' attention. So you want to use a strategic pause to make sure every student can hear what is being said. So mid-sentence, you're saying something, you stop, you pause, and then you continue what you said. So you want to self-interrupt. And then the last part of strong voice is economy of language and quiet presence. And so you want to speak concisely and quietly to show students that what you're saying is important. What that might mean is lowering your voice even more, meaning they have to lean in to listen even more to what's being said. So all of these 3 things in partnership make up strong voice, which is a great strategy to gain scholars' attention and to redirect any misbehaviors. So now we'll have a chance to look at the strategy in action 3 different times, 3 different groups of scholars. For your listening activity, what did you notice about the teacher's use of strong voice? Why was it successful? What did it accomplish?
Why do you think he's flattened his ears? That part's kind of weird. Why would he flatten his ears before he goes flying? Patience. Okay. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Inappropriate time. You need to answer my question. Okay. Why do you think he flattened his ears?
Because he was going down the
If you're going that fast, right? He wants to make sure that he doesn't, like, it's almost wind resistance, right?
All right, after looking at that clip, why was it successful? What did it accomplish? Pause the video if you need more time to process and think. But the teacher, she has a specific register that she uses. She interrupted herself and she definitely redirected the scholars quickly to get the focus and attention back onto the academic process. And now we're going to see another example of strong voice. Again, same thing. Why is this successful? What did it accomplish? But what did you notice about this teacher's strong voice?
Okay, why can I draw my line here, David? Why can I draw that line?
Because the 2
Hold on 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Because the 2 variables in the middle are the opposite of each other?
Yeah, both the Y's. How many had that first half right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Most of you, when I was walking around, most of you had that first one right. Now let's go to the second one.
So again, why was it successful? What did it accomplish? What did you notice? This teacher absolutely has a formal register when she's teaching. So she definitely has a pattern of speech. And so scholars know that by now. They start to study you and they know what your pattern of speech is. So when you stop in the middle of a sentence and you say, hold up, or, you don't even have to announce that you're stopping. Sometimes just the pause can really bring attention to there was an interruption in the sequencing of what my teacher's saying. And so they pay attention, they look up, they notice that movement stopped. So let me look up because something's happening if I'm off task. All right, next one. All right. Again, why was it successful? What did it accomplish? What did you notice about this teacher's strong voice?
And second of all, some of them, especially down here, are not as simple as they seem at first glance. And this is the sort of thing. This is the sort of thing where if you don't know how to do this, you actually don't know how to speak English completely. I'm not trying to take you back to middle school. I know you're about to go to college. But what I'm saying is, look up here, please. What I'm saying is that if you don't know this going into college, you sound like you're still in middle school.
All right, you notice his formal register, right? So now scholars are used to your formal register. They're used to the intonation of your voice. They're used to the volume level that you typically teach at. They get used to that, right? You've taught them what that is. And so when you stop and you have that pause, man, sometimes we're afraid of the silence, but an intentional pause is a great thing. It can really help people to redirect their attention back. Because sometimes our attention can be distracted. We can be distracted by things. And so it's a very powerful tool when we allow for those pauses. And so this is a strong voice strategy, not to be confused with getting louder, not to be confused with exerting, being assertive or overly aggressive in our tone. But strong voice is about being strategic with your formal register, interrupting yourself either with a pause or some type of statement, and then making sure you redirect any scholars so that their attention is back on the content that you want them to focus on. So, in this strategy, really teachers need this technique at the level 3 level because this is the level in which we're demonstrating our instruction. When we're whole group instruction, we're doing the I do portion of the lesson where we're modeling. Strong voice is the technique that you absolutely need at the level 3 place. And then we have level 4. This is our outside voices. We're in the PE field. We're outside for field day where we can scream and we can make sound. And, scholars can be scholars, right? And we can even be our most loud selves when we want to outside as well. So it's okay. It's accepted outside. And so this is our level 4. If we had a school pep rally outside, this is where we can be loud and this is that freedom. And so level 4, and anytime the outside voice is brought inside, meaning everyone can hear you, we can hear you 2 hallways away, that's a problem. All right, then we go on to 8. So that's the C of conversation levels for CHAMPS. Now we get into the H. H goes, well, what do I do if I need help? Well, these are some options if you want to do the flip chart. You can raise your hand. You can ask the teacher as an option. You can ask a partner, so one other person in the classroom. You can ask 3 before me, so maybe you can ask 3 different people before coming to the teacher. So maybe there's a team approach. Maybe there's a tech approach. So maybe you can research or explore on the device if the teacher provides that. These are just some options for how you can seek assistance or help, or maybe help is looking in a book or in a dictionary or some other resource or tool. A stands for activity. What types of activities do you have in your classroom? Well, we know we all take a test. We all have assessments, right? A test, a quiz, an exit ticket, an exam. And so what are the expectations when scholars take a test? Do they need to put their backpacks in front of the room? Do they put them out of the testing area? Does your school have a no device zone? So these are all things to ask when we're taking notes in class, when that's the activity. They're supposed to be listening and taking notes. I don't know if you have a Cornell notes process, but again, what are the expectations? Then we have our engage. Maybe the do not activate it. If the first 5 minutes of class, maybe that's one of the activities. So in this section, you want to come up with a procedure or a protocol for each activity that you regularly have in your classroom, so it's easy as already having those expectations listed, just like on the charts we saw earlier. For class discussions, what are the expectations? Discuss and you listen. So maybe this is where we're going to use the Teach Like a Champion slant technique. This technique, SLANT, is an acronym. It stands for sit up, lean forward, ask and answer questions. So be prepared to ask questions and answer questions. The N stands for you nod, and then the T is track the speaker. So your eyes should be on the person talking at all times. And then what do we do if we have a writing activity? Maybe your procedure and your protocol is that they're to read, they're to think, and they're to write. And so maybe this is something that we do during classwork a lot. Then we have the M that stands for movement. When it comes to movement, we want to establish expectations for our scholars that are clear. So maybe at this point in time, we're taking a test and I want you all to stay in your seat. As a teacher, maybe I prefer to get up and come to you. Maybe in the movement, I want you to get teacher permission. I want you to ask first before you move. When it comes to movement and you need some supplies or you need to throw some supplies away like trash, you get and return supplies in trash. So room access, meaning in the classroom, you're able to access supplies. You can go get them if you want, whenever you want. And maybe you can return the supplies whenever you want and throw trash away. Some teachers want a lot of structure, and other teachers are okay with the limited structure. Then, when it comes to the area, do you want scholars in a designated area only? So maybe they're only allowed to be in an area around table 1. Or if I sit at table 4, you're expecting me to stay within that. I can be up, but I need to stay in my designated area. P is participation. Scholars, maybe they're working independently, which means it's solo work right now. During a test, we know it's solo work. Maybe they can work in pairs or with one other partner, so 2 people only. Maybe you're okay with them working in a group of 4. Or maybe it's whole class, or in the entire class is all together. So this is considered that whole instruction. And then we have success. What does success look, feel, and sound like? So as we're communicating expectations, you can let the scholars know success is going to be individual on an individual basis. So you guys are working independently, so I'm going to reward you independently. What does success look like? That means you completed your work, so you finished strong. Quality work, so I want you, accuracy at 70% or higher. Thinking, I want you to be able to explain why, so be prepared for me to ask you why when we come back together. And always try. If you don't know, tell me what you do know and how you know. And so you scholars may be, given the indicator that they're going to receive some points from live school, some scholar dollars, or even a snack or something, maybe out of a reward jar or something. Then we have, what's the win-win? What's the success, right? In pairs. Maybe this is pair work or teamwork. And so maybe scholars can win a snack, some little games. But when I win, the teacher and my teammates win, right? Because we're a team, we're a group. So whether it's pair work or group work, the teacher tells me they expect equal participation, meaning everyone on the team should have equally contributed. We need to complete the work. Quality work, accuracy is looked at. Thinking, we all should be able to explain why. And if we don't know, be able to tell the teacher how we know. Lastly, we have what a win-win looks like as a class. So maybe we're doing whole group instruction and we're all in this together. If it's an entire class, the teacher gets to communicate what success looks like. And maybe success isn't always giving snacks and prizes, right? but it's definitely working together. It's getting to the expectation of accomplishing and mastering that goal of that standard. When it comes to tier one, we definitely want to use positive reinforcers. So some things educators can do is you can give your scholars a thumbs up, you can smile. Some educators might wink, kind of affirming that, yep, you're on the right track. Specific positive feedback is very supportive. School-wide dollars or tickets, special activities or privileges, preferential seating, maybe in the cafeteria during lunch, or maybe even in the classroom. You have a special sofa or comfy couch that they like to sit on. Lunch with an adult of your choice, free time, computer time, a fast pass for the lunch line. Maybe you get to go to the first part of the lunch line, a homework pass, or a 5 minute early dismissal at the end of the day. Coupons for 25% off at the school store, a goal achievement certificate, or a quarterly letter for perfect attendance. So many different ways to encourage our scholars. And so now we've gone through all of the champs as an example of information that we can write down. We even talked about how to script it out, right? Class, what's the conversation level? 3. If you need help, what do you do? Ask 3 before me. What activity are we working on right now? We're sharing our responses and discussing within our group. Is there movement? You said, yep, you can move around and throw anything away if you need to. And what's the participation? Oh, we have to read and discuss about the text. And then how much time do you have to do this to be successful? Oh, we have 15 minutes. So all of these things support clear, concise, and solid communication. Now that we've done that, go ahead and reflect. What are 2 stars? What are 2 stellar things that you learned during this session? What's one wishful idea that you have? You wish what? You could have heard, seen, learned about what during this segment? And then what's your commitment? What resources or supports would you need to be able to stamp your learning and to move forward? And then lastly, we've concluded mission accomplished. We've concluded the identifying and understanding the what, why, and how of CHAMPS classroom management system and how to share and practice the CHAMPS expectations.